Feast your eyes upon this Clayton oscillating spindle sander. This particular example has two problems. The on-off switch needs to be smashed in to work. It also doesn't oscillate. So let's dive in and see if we can fix it. I've had this for years. The switch has always been an issue. However, the lack of oscillation is recent. As I'm organizing my new shop, any tool with an issue is either getting fixed or going to the dump. I really like this sander, so I would prefer to fix and keep it. I also have a jet oscillating spindle sander, but I like this one better and would prefer to sell off the jet, but only if I could get this one running correctly. So at this point, I'm not quite sure how to take this thing apart. I was hoping to just pull the guts out of the bottom. And in typical male fashion, rather than thinking this through, I go for the just keep taking out bolts approach. After taking the top off, I realized that the guts need to be rotated slightly in order to fit through the opening. I disconnect the electrical and check that the motor spins freely, and so far nothing weird or obvious causing either issue. And the digging continues. This double pulley setup is the first clue as to how this tool works. Why would there be two pulleys, and why wouldn't they just use a double as they did on the motor? Taking this thing apart was fairly easy. This is a tool I don't use very much. I don't think the person who owned it before me used it very much either. I always hook up dust collection, and that seems to have kept almost all the dust out.
Doesn't spin there. That's a big old bearing. Holy mackerel. We're going to have to replace that.
Apparently, I like big bearings. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a rap song about big bearings back in the 90s. I'm a little fuzzy on the exact topic of that song, but yes, I like big bearings and I cannot lie. Fortunately, this one does spin quite smoothly. At this point, I thought these were carriage bolts that went all the way through this housing. So as I'm giving these a little tap-tap-taparoo, I'm surprised to see how they come loose. As I'm sliding this thing out, it looks to me like a nuclear reactor or something from like a Bond movie. So I'm very careful when inspecting. I don't want this to explode. And examining the outside has given me no clues as to how this thing causes my spindle sander to oscillate. So disassembly continues.
Bearing is massive. And it is smooth.
Seriously, stop it with the big bearing jokes, guys. It's just immature. This collar, it gave me a ton of trouble. It was really stuck on there.
But it's on there, and it's cocky wampus or whatever.
What does cocky wampus mean, Mike? So I pry lightly. This is a good way to ruin things, and I give up on this strategy pretty quickly. It seems as though it's caught on the mushrooming caused by the set screw. I use a bearing puller and a few taps with my brightly colored dead blow mallet, and it pops right off. Anytime I'm working on a tool with set screws, I like to come back and level out any areas that need it. This makes reassembly much easier. A mill file makes quick work of this. At some point, I just decide to leave that top bearing in place. I didn't want to damage it during removal. Still baffled, I proceed to open up the nuclear reactor with caution. I have donned my lead vest just in case. Looks to be held together with a silicone-ish type sealer. That's all that's holding it at this point. I finally decide that a chisel is the way to split the halves. I also guess correctly that some sort of oil will ooze out. As I open up the reactor core, the secret oscillation method is revealed. After some cleaning, I have figured out what the heck is wrong. This little bearing pin thingamajigger rides around like one of those motorcycle carnival rides where the motorcycle goes up and down. For whatever reason, the plastic is deformed and the pin gets stuck. Looking around at the tools I have on hand, the carpenter in me decides to open up the slot with a sharp chisel. I work my way around methodically and take small even shavings. I think the real question here is what caused the plastic to deform in the first place. Was it heat, Bad machining, bad plastic. Did the plastic swell due to sitting in an oil bath? I also sanded a little bit to smooth things out. I think this is high density polyethylene, which can swell when it's exposed to certain types of oil. I don't know, this certainly is a curious case. Let me know in the comments section if you have any knowledge on this subject. When a seal needs to be created between two metal objects, I think it's a good idea to sand. I think this is 320 grit, and I make sure to change hand positions frequently to keep the sanding as random and even as possible.
So then this roller, goes in there and it goes in. Kind of fun, huh?
I do one last test to make sure it operates smoothly before assembling. I also clean with some denatured alcohol. I use some gasket maker designed for gear oil. It's the same stuff you'd use on the differential in a car. I smear on a thin coat. I also add some gear oil to the seals on the reactor core just to make sure they're not dry upon first startup. I wish I could do a blooper reel on the assembly here. My plethora of mistakes revolved around me trying to show stuff to the camera. I spilled gear oil, of course, because I tilted too far. Then I needed to reapply the gasket maker. And of course, I needed to put in more gear oil. Everything went back together easy peasy once I started to concentrate. After bolting it back together, I was able to rotate the core by hand, so it's a huge improvement from where we started. I think it's time for a song recommendation. After all the big bearing talk earlier, there can only be one song that would fit in here. Fat Bottom Girls by Queen. No, just kidding. Let's go with Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. My kids recently discovered that song, so oftentimes car rides turn into that scene from Wayne's World, which is just great. So there it is, a great song recommendation with a movie bonus. This collar sure goes on easy now. These little washers are needed to make sure that the spindle is plumb to the table. All right, so the smart way to do this is to pull the case off, which is light and easy to maneuver compared to the internals. Lesson learned for next time, I guess. I don't know what causes this, but one of the contacts inside the switch was charred, and that prevented the electrical connection. My solution, just buy a new switch. I found a replacement by doing a search using every number and letter I could read on the side, and then adding the word switch. At the beginning of the video, I had 1/2 inch wide belts installed. These pulleys require 3/8 inch wide belts, so I bought the correct size, and 5 feet was one link too short. So I ordered more, installed the extra link that I needed, and got both belts installed. One question left unanswered is, how does this thing oscillate? Well, if we examine closely, we see that the pulleys have slightly different diameters. This causes one to spin slower than the other. So the whole reactor core spins at some speed, but the shaft that pokes through it spins at a slightly slower speed, causing it to follow the track on the plastic center chunk. Pretty neat if you ask me. Will this fix hold up over time? Well, that remains to be seen. I've run the tool for about an hour total. It's working really well. I like just how stout this tool is for a benchtop model. Many benchtop tools are like plastic pieces of junk. When comparing this sander to a jet version, the jet offers smaller spindle sizes, which I don't think I need. It also has a tilting table. Again, I don't think that I need that. I do like how easy the Clayton sander is to pick up and put away. It also offers significantly larger spindle diameters, which I do like. So now that this Clayton oscillating spindle sander is fixed and working again, I could make it a home. Maybe it will live here in my new awesome miter saw station. Seems to fit nicely, but it surely does need a pull-out tray. Well, I learned a few things along the way and had a great time fixing up this really nice tool. Hopefully you found this video entertaining, educational, or at least not vomitous. Thank you for watching. Till next time.